What's up, everybody? Good to see you. This is Mr. Straight Facts Show. We're going to get it in. You guys, I know I was up all last night doing research, and I've been up this morning. I didn't get up till probably like noon because I didn't go to bed till like 6 in the morning. My last video was explaining to you guys that basically Chuck Schumer was right. And I know people were pissed. I was pissed because the video I made prior to that, I was going off on him. And it's my fault. I admit my fault. I apologize for that after I did my homework. Now, I talked about last night about the strategies in which we need to employ something, because there's no way we can just let this go. There's no way for us to just sit back and just do nothing and wait on the Democrats or anybody of that nature. After realizing, that people were going to be mad at what I had to say, I knew that in a way before I started it. My own people, of course, racist Trumpers, they went off in comments and different things of that nature, not believing the fact that Donald Trump and Hitler do the exact same things. Now, again, when people hear the word Hitler, they think of all the egregious things he did at the tail end of what he was doing. Mind you, this lasted for like 4 years or so, right? It wasn't the whole 4 years of doing what he did. To gain power, he had to create a disaster. And that's what Donald Trump is doing. All these things that we're asking, why is he doing this? Why is he firing people? Why is he doing it? He's saying he's doing it in the name of fixing America. But for whom? Not the middle class and poor. Those are the ones that he's firing. If he really wanted to save America, he would take the billionaires and say, look, you guys need to owe your fair share. I mean, you guys are astronomically rich. If you gave your fair share, you'd still be astronomically rich. And we wouldn't have a problem with our budget because we pull in enough to pay for it, or at least get close to paying for it. And then we can go after the smaller people, smaller businesses, and get maybe, or cutting back on the government and getting maybe a few $100 million from that, or maybe even $1 trillion. Who knows? Because we all want to have a cutback to be able to have, our deficit go away. Basically being fiscally conservative. You spend less than you make. Or in a government situation, you're going to spend exactly what you make instead of going over. Well, the immediate way to do that is have the rich pay their fair share. And he's choosing to go after the middle class and the poor. Hey, Vera, how you doing? So last night, or I couldn't go to sleep after I got finished with my live. I was laying down thinking, like, we got to come up with a strategy. We can't just sit around and wait for the Democrats to figure something out, because, again, we were wrong, me included. We were wrong and Chuck Schumer was right. So we're on this mad train, and that's exactly what a dictator in chief wants to do, is keep everybody divided. Division is the only way dictatorship can actually thrive. Any kind of unity, it thwarts everything he's trying to do. Everything that the MAGA Republicans are trying to do, in unity, it dies. In division, it lives. I understand. I am mad at those people who didn't vote for Kamala and put us in the situation, this spiral that we're in based off of their ideologies, or their racism or sexism, xenophobic, all these things, transphobic, all their phobics. All those things are fodder to a dictator wannabe or a dictator. Because guess what? I told you how much this was like Hitler. You see how he's gathering all these 14-year-old up to whatever age people that are from Venezuela, and how he's treating them? All bent over, looking at their knees and shit, walking around. You have not proven these people have done that. And those pictures to Americans who believe in democracy should piss everybody off. These people are innocent until proven guilty. And just by the word of a liar and a grifter, you believe they're guilty. This man is taking people and taking them to other sides of the country without proving they did anything wrong. If that ain't like Hitler, then what is? And you accepting it, you're becoming just like the Germans that decided to harm the Jews based off of what Hitler was saying. You guys are believing in what Trump's saying and not doing your own homework. And in so doing, you're destroying democracy. You're an active part of destroying democracy. We're going to have to swallow our feelings and focus on the facts. Those pictures should make you sick. But they don't for a lot of Americans. Why? There's more hate in you than there is love. You may not want to admit it, but there's more hate in you than there is love. You can't look at these people. I don't know them from Adam. But if you haven't caught them doing a crime, they don't deserve what you're doing to them. Stereotypically telling you that these people who are Latin or Venezuelan are automatically criminals because you believe they're in a gang, you have to prove it beyond a shadow of a doubt. That's called due process. That's a part of the Constitution in which he's willingly destroying by doing what we're seeing in our faces and telling judges, I'm going to do it regardless. Rule of law doesn't matter. Actively destroying democracy. You don't see it because, again, I got a question out today. What does democracy mean to you? See, we got to get back to the basics. I don't know if you guys, I'm going to get these sports analogies. I'm not really all that super into sports, but everybody should get it. When you are, let's say, really good at something. Let's say you're really good at basketball, but you're not pro level, but you're better than the average, girl or guy, right? And you start realizing, you're playing, but you're not, shooting the threes like you normally do. Something's up with your shot. So what do? Do you keep on shooting threes, or do you go back to basics and try to figure out what I'm doing wrong? Am I moving my arm too much? Am I not flicking my wrist? You go back to the basics. And once you start fixing the basics, you start getting back into the groove again. We don't know what democracy is. We got to go back to the basics of what it is. We know what democracy feels like. But do we know the basics of what democracy is and what it's supposed to be outside of what it feels like? Because they go off of your feelings, and often our feelings are off. They're not in line or in tune with democracy. They're more in line or in tune with dictatorship. If I were to tell you right now, America's not really a democracy anymore, would you believe me? Most people will not. But if we go through the actual definition of democracy, when you see the pictures of those young men being bent down, you'd be pissed to know that that's not a democracy. Those pictures should tell you that we're not living in a democracy. You can't do this to people, citizens of this country, or people who have been allowed to be in this country, and just turn on them without realizing that's exactly what they did to the Jews. Living amongst them, and then one day turn on them because one man tells you they're your enemy. And all they got to do is pick one of them that's done something bad. You can pick one of every race and turn them into an evil culture. Hell, you can take 1 million white people who've done wrong and turn them into an evil culture. But for some reason, people don't want to go there. But you're so quick to say that these Venezuelans, based off a lie that Trump said, in Aurora, Colorado, there was no gang doing what they said they was doing. The government in that town, in that city and state, literally said it's not going down. Matter of fact, our crime is going down. But your hatred allowed you to continue believing in that Venezuelan shit. And Trump never came back to apologize, nor did the right-wing media. It was the mainstream media and mostly people like myself who did the homework and said, this shit ain't true. And according to the police and the law enforcement in that area, never happened. They weren't attached to any kind of Venezuelan gang. They just made this shit up. So why do people think it's real? It's the same reason Hitler did it to the Jews. He did it to his opposition. The reason why I say this, I know it's going to piss people off, but I ain't here for your feelings. I'm here for facts. Go look them up and call me a liar. Make me a liar. Go look it up. And I guarantee you, you're going to come back and be like, this dude's telling the truth. Or you're going to get into your feelings and say, prove it. I just did. I told you. Go look it up. Prove that I'm wrong. See, I already got comments where people saying, oh no, you're lying through your teeth. Well, please, ma'am, sir, go look it up and bring back the facts to me. I'm more than happy because we're in this fact bubble here. We're focusing on facts. We ain't focusing on nobody's feelings in here. Your facts. I was in my feelings. That's why I went off on Chuck Schumer. I was in my feelings. Someone's trying to call me. I was in my feelings. No longer when it comes to this. The only way we win is uniting. That's the only way we win. We continue down the path of this division and they win. Got to bite our lip, our tongue, whatever you got to do to try and unite with people you can't stand to save democracy, even if they don't recognize it. So I set up a little bit later and got up. When I got up later in the day, earlier in the day, I started to devise like a strategy for us to do. Not one, like I told you guys last night if you was here, is that I am one that rubs people the wrong way because I tell the truth and I don't care about your feelings about it. I'm Mr. Fuck Your Feelings, right? And I understand to reach people, we have to do certain things. I stand outside of, I'm not a person who has to say that word all the time. I say these things all the time. I care about the country more than I care about being able to be pissed off at people for doing stupid shit. I want to get back to a happier time. And the only way we're going to do that is to get rid of this dictator type shit. And we got to go back to the basics. That's why I ask you, what is a dictatorship? A dictatorship. What is a democracy to you? And right now, we only got Vera in the room. I still, I guess, but these are the things that I want to ask people. What is a dictatorship to you? If you're here, answer the question in the comment section. What is a dictatorship to you? Dictatorship. Why I keep saying that? What is a democracy? Let's get rid of the negative. I want to deal with the positive. What is a democracy to you? Okay? Because this is how we're going to have to go about this. And this whole live is called the 3D effect, deploying a defense for democracy. And we really have to look at it in a positive way of how we defend it, because we turn people off by going off, and they need to hear these questions. They need to ask these questions of themselves. It is their own personal understanding of what a democracy is. Because I believe we're so far off. Many of us are so far off of what the hell a democracy is that we can't come together and unify on what it is. Now, when 9/11 happened, under tragedies, we all know what a democracy is at that point. We got to fight for each other. And when 9/11 happened, everybody who was anybody, especially in New York, were trying to help. Never forget. Unified around an issue that's horrible. I'm telling you, This dictator thing that you're trying to do is another type 9/11. It is a terroristic act to take over a country that's a democracy and turn it into a dictatorship so that we can have a quote unquote one person or one type of class rule everything. And I'm telling you, do your homework on what Hitler did prior to unaliving the Jews and doing all the things, the horrific things that he did prior to that. Match that up before he got there to what Trump has been doing. It matches step for step. From calling the media, fake media, Hitler did that. From trying to create personal disasters so he can become the savior for the entire country. What do you think Trump is doing? We had an economy that was going up and up and up. This man comes in and throws crazy tariffs, pisses off our allies, and goes and hangs out on a 90-minute phone call with our enemies. The hell is this? This is not the America. Wake up. It's not the America you knew. Every situation. Hitler wasn't the first person to do this. It's multiple people who've done it and people who've done it since. It's the same strategy. It's nothing new. These people are not creative. They're doing the exact same thing. The only problem is that most people have forgotten and most people haven't lived it. The Jewish people whose parents taught them how or told them about how this happened, no. They've witnessed it. Black people know how slavery went down. Our families witnessed it and we've learned about it and our ancestors have passed it on to some degree. It's in our DNA. We know. In this situation, people who went through what Hitler did know. And because they know, they yell about it. But they still have their way of doing things. Like Chuck Schumer, he knows. That's why he was right. But he went poorly about trying to educate people why the hell he voted yes. He did it horrifically. I mean, you talk about bad shit. I mean, horrifically bad. I'm like, how are you a leader? You made the right decision, but you told nobody how or why you came up with this. You wrote it in an op-ed in the New York Times, had a New York Times interview, and they make you pay to see it. Who the fuck is going to pay to see New York Times, yo? Just for your article, they're going to sign up for a year or a month just to watch your man. If you don't get your ass in the fucking 2025 and get on social media and say that shit to the world, the hell is wrong with this dude? He was right, but he was wrong about the way he went about it. He didn't educate people based off the history of Jewish people who knew what Hitler was doing prior to him murdering everybody. See, that's the thing that gets everybody, oh, I don't want to hear that because he did all these great, Hitler did all this and all that. I'm like, yes, he did. Divorce yourself from what he did to the Jews. Marry yourself to what he did to get to the point to do what he did to the Jews. Look what he did to the Venezuelan people. 14-year-olds and up. You think that wasn't what Hitler did before he decided to start burning them and shit? Of course that's what he did. And he allowed the society to see it in public eye. And they applauded it. If you applauded those Venezuelan people being treated like that, this exact same shit the Germans did to the Jews, Hitler did to the Jews. It is the exact same thing. Prior to doing the unaliving part. Quit going too far off into the... They want you to stop thinking about Hitler because of the shit he did egregiously afterwards. Think about the steps it took him to get there. Trump is on those prior steps to get there. He's already desensitized people from seeing something like this in the media and not having a problem with it. Even the news is acting like it's a regular day that Trump is doing something wrong, but the courts are going to fix it. It's not about the courts fixing it. It's about normalizing doing evil shit to people. If you see it over and over again, eventually you start to think, ain't nothing going on. They're just going to go to court and come back. He's just being a fool. No. As he puts his sycophants into place, they'll start saying yes to everything. We understand that Chief Justice John Roberts came out against Trump on how one judge said, hey, you can't do this. And then Trump's calling for him to be impeached. Why would he be impeached? He didn't do anything illegal. If anybody did anything illegal, it was Trump. And not only after he said for them to be impeached, which there's no reason to them to be impeached, and they can't be impeached. This is one power the Democrats actually have. You need like what, 65 or something like that, 70 votes. They'll never get those. Democrats are not going to impeach a judge for following the law. So these people can't be impeached. So why is he doing it? To show us a sign of power. See, the judge will get afraid that these people around will start threatening his life. He doesn't need the courts to agree on anything. He just needs the sycophants to threaten that judge so that other punk ass judges won't want to go there. The law is not the thing. You got to understand, he's a president. He can pardon you for doing some of the egregious things as long as you're doing it for him. Do you now start to see how democracy is falling apart? Inch by inch, and it's the exact same, nothing different than Hitler and all the other people who were dictators that took over a country that had one form of government and moved over into dictatorship, into being an autocrat. The things I'm telling you are facts in the past. You can go back and check them and match them up step for step. What Donald Trump is doing and what every dictator who's taken over either a democracy or another form of government that people enjoyed and had and was stolen from them. Again, they're not creative. They are doing the same things. It's just that you don't know your history, and they have dumbified everybody. They made it so that, alternative facts is intelligence. So whatever I tell you, you believe. We got a core group of people in this country, millions, 30%, who have no idea what facts are. They think feelings are facts. Because those millions of people feel a certain way, it must be factual. They don't have to read anything. And that's why he loves the highly, highly unintelligent people. Ignorant people is his dream. A dictator's dream is to have a massive amount of stupid people that'll never check them, never fact check them whatsoever. And when they do fact check, they believe the lie over the truth because their feelings attach them to this crook. And they want to defend him because he, like that thing said, he is I and I am him. And I think Snoop said that, but I think he may have got it from somewhere else, but I don't know the quote. But he is I and I am him. They are Trump. They're no different. They feel and think the same way. They feel powerless, so they get power from him. They can't associate with the truth because it makes them weak. The truth harms them. The lies give them this false sense of power. The world isn't just so bad if I believe in the lies, but I believe in the truth. I'm basically an idiot. Nobody trusts what I have to say. I'm not important. He makes them feel important. He makes stupid people appear smart because their feelings matter more than the facts. So, in so doing all this, I said, you know what? We got to come up with a strategy. Now, I'm going to go ahead and read what you guys have said what a democracy is, if I got anybody in here. I asked earlier, what is a democracy? I posted that question. You see my new actual content that says, quick question, right? These quick questions are going to be a part of how we start a defense for democracy. And hear me out. what I'm doing, as I said, we have to come up with a strategy that doesn't really offend people, but gets them to understand, so we can get them away from that disassociation from facts and only their feelings. We got to get them to think. And I'm going to need everybody within earshot to apply this strategy, because we need to save democracy in America. And the only way we're going to do it is not through the divisive aspect. It's through trying to find out what we're more alike than we are different. Okay? Now hear me out once I read your comments and see. I'm starting at the very top. I don't know if you actually asked those questions, but Luigi said the problems always existed. He just found a way to convince us we had someone to blame for what the ruling class is doing to us. Oh, okay. I agree with that. I don't think it's anything new under the sun, but he did get them, for lack of a better term, he coagulated them. It was all over his fluid, and then he coagulated this one group of people who just have, and they didn't have to be Republican. They just felt disenfranchised, and it's like, I'm tired of the system, and that's the only thing that he offered outside of the system. So yeah, you're right. I believe. Vera, a democracy means to me is free for all, united, we stand, divided, we fall. That's perfect. I love that. More aspirational. It's crazy, but I guess we all are the Jews. At this point, we are. I mean, if we're going to compare it to history, we're not only just the Jews, because if you know the history of what happened, and I don't know everything, but as I continue to learn more and more and more, start finding out different areas of it, the Reichstag fire and how that incorporated, well, not incorporated, but allowed them to even the access to be able to do what they're doing to America, that they did to, well, in that situation, did to Germany and the Jews. But understand, it started out with not just against the Jews; it started against the opposing party of Hitler. Right? They burned down this house, which is essentially like our Congress, where all the laws and things like that. That house was burned down, the Reichstag, and that fire ended up allowing Hitler to go to the president at that time. I think it's Lindenberg or something like that. Went to the president at that time and asked the president for the Reichstag decree. The decree. Now, a decree is like what Donald Trump is doing, like he's the king. It's like, for us, the decree would be like if we said we're going to have martial law. The president gets to decide like what's going on because the world is going crazy, right? So what he did was ask for a decree, which is called the Reichstag fire decree or something like that, 1933, and that allowed him to jail his opponents, unalive them even, because they blamed the opposite side for burning down the building and trying to take over the country. They made them the instant enemy. But in fact, the only people that were able to act, everybody else was in disarray. Like, wow, I can't believe it's on fire, and they're trying to put it out. Oh, I don't know what's going on. Not Trump. Hitler and his people were calm, cool, collected, and they had a strategy to win. Now you got to ask yourself, everybody should have been out of sorts because of this. How is it that Hitler and his team automatically had strategies and automatically had a suspect when nobody knew who did it? They swooped right in and said, oh, it was them, and this is happening. Oh, president, because Hitler was a chancellor at the time. Oh, the president, we need to do this and do that. We needed to call a decree, which literally got rid of civil liberties, freedom of speech, freedom of everything, gone. This is what people don't understand. I didn't understand. I had to apologize, and I'll continue to apologize to Chuck Schumer, because Chuck Schumer knew the history of what happened to the Jews and what Hitler did. He saw through what Donald Trump was trying to do. See, if the Democrats had won and put us in a situation where we would have closed down our government, it would have made it easy for Donald Trump to literally take over. See, to make a democracy over into a dictatorship, you have to have a disaster. And Donald Trump, Hitler in this situation, came in as a savior. See, Donald Trump's causing havoc so that when Americans feel pain, like he says, we're going to feel a little pain. He really means I'm about to fuck your lives up. And when you guys need me and you need to bow down to me and tell me to stop doing what I'm doing, you can't feed your families, your car loan is gone, your house is gone, you're living under a fucking bridge, then I'm going to come and say, you need my help now? Here I come to save the day. And now you're beholden to Trump for allowing you to be able to eat, to have a job. He's trying to bend America to the knee and to his will. Chuck Schumer saw that. The rest of the Democrats and myself did not. Why didn't we see that? Because we don't know fucking history of what Hitler did. Chuck did. And now I do. That's why I say America's got to come together. Because the only thing that defeats a dictatorship is unity. They thrive and they can only survive off of division. That's why I say when you see those pictures of those Venezuelans and you feel a certain type of way and you feel a negative way and you feel happy about it, you've already moved away from a democracy and you move closer to a dictatorship because you don't like them or you hate them or whatever it may be. You don't like them having rights, but you got to understand they destroy their rights, they destroy yours. You don't see the connection until your rights are gone. Once their rights are gone, so are yours. You can't watch them go through it and think that you're saved. No. If you haven't learned this from the people who voted for Trump and got fired, what's it going to take? They thought because they were MAGA, as if they walked around with a big M on their chest and Donald Trump just knew, oh, you're MAGA, can't fire you. Oh, you're MAGA, ain't gonna fire you. You ain't MAGA, oh, you fired. They thought that. He had them believing that. They didn't think logically, like, how would he know? You think he remembers you from one of the rallies? It's how he gets you to feel. And then once he fucks you over, you're just a person who you hate Trump. That's all it is. You're never Trumper. No, I voted for you. Nah, you're never Trumper. Now you're in a category where you're already weakened because you become a never Trumper. Therefore, you can never win. Even when you're talking to a Trumper and you're trying to get him out the cult. Like, look, man, dude, you just pissed off because you lost. I'm still winning. Division allows it to live. Unity kills it off. So we're going to have to suck it up, Americans. We're going to have to suck up what we don't like about certain people and try our damnedest to work alongside of them to get them to see. I ain't saying go over to MAGA. I'm saying those who are disillusioned by what he said, that said they aren't MAGA, but they got tired of the Democrat plantation, those people who are reachable, we need to get to them and do what I'm talking about. And I'm going to give you this plan here in a bit of what we need to do, right? And it's not aggressive. It is literally, you don't even have to do the work, or you can if you want, but I'm going to give you the plan here in a minute. Let's go ahead and answer more questions. Mark D, life, liberty, and freedom to pursue your happiness. I hear you, brother. Love that. Love that. That's what a democracy means to Mark and should to us all. Carol, all of us are on Trump's list. Most definitely, Carol. We need to realize freedom still carries responsibility. Yes, sir, Luigi. Save Wit. I've always hated when people try to separate Germany from Nazi Germany. Now I'm seeing Americans falling from the same. Come on, Save Wit. I was trying to tell people, and this is the thing. Like I said, I tell the truth no matter what, whether it hurts me or help me. I was 100% wrong. I went off. The video's still up because I want to not necessarily punish or escape anything. I want to be held accountable. I was wrong. I made a video about it, all loud and proud about not liking Chuck Schumer. And then the next video that pops out, because I did the research, I'm like for Chuck Schumer. Am I a flip-flopper? No. I'm a person who literally found out the fucking truth and left things up so I should be humiliated about what the fuck I did. I'm not trying to hide it so I don't get that humiliation. I deserve it. I deserve it. When people look at that video and they see the next one, it's like, wait, this dude flipped. No, this dude got educated. That's what this is about. If I thought about it, contemplating, like, if I get rid of it, then I get rid of myself being flawed and always being right. I was wrong, and I need to be held accountable. If anybody sees that video, call me wrong. Exactly, I was. Now go watch the other one, find out how I moved. I progressed. I didn't just stay under this bubble of always being right. I was wrong. Sorry, Chuck Schumer. Now that I know better, I'm moving forward. Okay. I wish this nightmare was over. I hear you, Vera. I don't know why the hell these judges have immunity to begin with. I don't know about that either. I don't know. Again, I got to do the history. I don't know why that even came about. You would think they would know. It puts them above the law. I mean, it's kind of crazy. But let me continue down before I give you guys information. Vera, that is a real challenge to stay positive but focused. It is. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to find solutions instead of being stuck in the problem. I got more hope now that I see that we have a solution to this. As I started looking into it, it's like there's shit that Americans can do. I didn't think. I was helpless, hopeless. I'm like, what do we do, Democrats? What do we do? And then when I found out the truth just last night, and staying up late, going live late, it opened up to me. This is what we can do. I know other people may have strategies, but this actually works. I did the research on how certain dictatorships kind of fell, or whatever attempts in history, and their strategies. But we can deploy what I'm trying to do here in a second, if you find it to be okay. Trump social is the equivalent of the enemy dropping propaganda notes over the battlefield. It's the same old tired playbook, right, Save Wit? All these lies for 10 years, we've been lied to with impunity. 100%, Carol. The strategies have been insane. Some white content creators influence people not to vote or vote the couch. Vera, I am 100% behind you on that. I blame people. And some of those are facetious people. Some of those people are Trumpers and clowning. They were trolling people, pretending like they were something they weren't. The ones who weren't were truly fooled into believing these things till they lose their jobs and all that. And they have all that hate in their heart. Again, they had already moved away from a democracy. They're in the mind of a dictatorship 100. Why? Because they worship one guy. He can do no wrong. No human being on the planet that has ever lived, unless you're religious, ever was right all the time. They will never say anything wrong about Trump. If you can't say something wrong about a human who is flawed, you are listening and a part of a cult. And the drive to the cult is the anger they have toward us. Because what? Because we search facts. We're always right. They're always wrong. And they don't want to admit that they're wrong. They'd rather be, I'm right because he says so. I'm like, well, if that's what you want. Well, now I'm right. I don't have to go and do the research like you do. I don't have to read. I just go straight to the facts. He's got the facts. And we're not going to win against that. That's going to be them. Like I said, those who say, I can't tell you what people really feel, but those who say they were disenfranchised, that they wanted to go against the system, they wanted to get off the Democrat plantation. It wasn't liking Trump so much. It's got so much hate for the Democrats or independents or whatever. Those people are reachable. The cultish people, they're not. Like I was saying earlier, Donald Trump said something about, impeaching a judge. Chief Justice John Roberts come out and say, that's bullshit, ain't gonna happen. But what happened? One of them MAGA people filed to have the judge impeached in court. Even though it won't go anywhere because the House ain't gonna never vote for it. But it is what it is. Again, like I said, it's a fear tactic. That's another part, of the story, are the Holocaust deniers. Yeah. His ear grew back overnight. Politics have become a team sport, very much so. It's like watching WWE. Notice how all the deportation videos show the prisoners walking bent over. I was mentioning that, Save Wit. Again, we can't look at that video and be desensitized. It was horrible. It should make people sick. If it doesn't, if it makes you happy or anything of that nature, or you don't have any feeling toward it, your mindset is stuck in a dictatorship and not in a democracy. You're more of a dictator mindset. You want to punish somebody for doing something that you don't even know they did. Due process is a part of a democracy. They deserve it if they're on our soil. You otherizing them and taking away their constitutional rights is not a democracy. Based off of lies that this man told you that they were in a gang, you got to prove they were in a gang. That's due process. That's a part of the Constitution. I don't know if it's the Fourth or Fifth Amendment. I'm trying to think at the top of my head. Due process. I want to say fourth. They took their constitutional right away. And any American that saw that and didn't have a problem with it, again, your mindset is stuck toward a dictatorship more so than a democracy. And you don't even know it. It's crazy. These people are maniacal. Big money ruin politics. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so I think I got to everybody. Breaking the spell. Hey, what's going on, Jorge? Okay, so I want to get to this strategy. I just went over that to give love to my people who are here. I appreciate you coming by. You can always, support the show whichever way you can. I appreciate it as I do this work for us. I'll put it up right now, the ways that you can support me or the show. Or you can subscribe and also become a member. And I appreciate all my members. I love y'all. We're going to have some, again, I'm working on the day and time and the topics and different things of members, us having membership only lives. And I want to work that we can bring each other up and talk. I'm still working through that. I know you can do it on Zoom, but I haven't did it on YouTube or how to connect the two. I'm working on it. Give me time. But I want to see some of y'all if you want to show your faces and have a conversation with y'all. So, yeah, love that with all my members. So, looking forward to it, actually. So here's the things that we can do. All right. The part of being able to destroy or find a way to defend democracy is one, getting in front of the media, or in our situation, we're not going to get on the news or anything of that nature. We have to become viral online. Now, again, it has to be in a positive way. I'll plan to be in the next Zoom. Okay. We have to be there in a positive way because we don't want to offend or, get people on a defensive, right? So we got to ask questions that are open-ended. You notice I've been doing these quick questions, but I didn't start that for this reason. I just realized that it was given to me for this reason. And I didn't, it just, all things fall into place, just how God works. So I asked a question to you guys, and I asked it, online. If you follow me on YouTube, TikTok, Blue Sky, Substack, and those Instagram, I think I may have said it already. But if you follow me on those platforms, I'm gonna need you to do me a favor. And it's not my platforms I need it on. If you feel okay with that, that's fine. But the very first strategy for us is to get it out to everybody that we can. It's going to be a question strategy at the very beginning. This is just step one. We got multiple steps here. And I'm going to read exactly what I've written down so I can get it right. Making people define democracy for themselves. I gave you guys the analogy earlier, if you weren't here, about basketball. And if you are a basketball player, and let's say you're good and your game is off, you have to go back to the basics, shooting free throws, dribbling, and all those things like that to be able to get yourself back on point, going back to the basics. Democracy, we don't know what it is. We have to get back to the basics so that the average American knows and what a democracy is as opposed to what it feels like now. Because as I told you with the video, if you're watching this video and the news and everything else, and you're not appalled and just going off and being highly angry and you're just trying to justify it, or you're like, I don't know what's going on, the courts are never going to uphold it, you're still going toward a dictatorship. You should be outraged. Outraged, not just like, oh, that's messed up. No, outraged, because again, he's been breaking down the core tenets of a democracy, and you're starting to get like nullified, or it's starting to be numb to it and say like, it's just Trump being Trump. That's what dictators do. Break you down, consistently bringing out crap, break you down. And if you think Donald Trump's doing all this, that man ain't doing all this. All this stuff is him being told, and there being a war machine pushing out everything he's doing. They're doing all the work. This man's just dictating. Yeah, I need you to write that. I need to do this. He ain't doing all that work, because all these Americans are trying to defend it and defeat it. These news stations, us, and we can't catch up. How is it that we can't catch up? There's more of us than him. He has a war machine that is constantly putting this shit out. That's why it's more than him doing it all. But here is the situation. Now, see, the goal isn't to argue. It's to plant seeds of doubt in those who think democracy is safe under MAGA leadership. If you saw people in my comment section that are MAGA to some degree, some of these videos, they're automatically defensive because I'm asking questions that would have them think. And I would, like the last one before, I said, we're what Donald Trump is trying to do is become a dictator. And the sad part is he's way further along than you think. And people are like, oh, no, he's not. He's this, he's that. Cult leaders, just cult followers, rather. They're constantly defending without listening to what I had to say. So we have to be able to do it where they don't attach that part to it first. And that's not what these questions were originally about. But what we have to do is plant these seeds. So we ask open-ended questions like, what is a democracy to you? So that these people start to listen every day, talk every day, have conversations every day. Like, what is a democracy? What is a democracy? You get people questioning what a democracy is to them and to their friends. They're in a conversation. They're talking about democracy. As they start to say it, they start to understand verbally. They're saying out loud, what is a democracy? And they're talking to their friend. They hear like, nah, that ain't a democracy, man. Now we got people talking about something that they cherish and understanding what it truly is and how they're, having that conversation. That's what we need, is a conversation, not division. So this is all to plant a seed so that people start questioning, right? And here's the thing is about, we need to have like a question of the day. So I'm going to post a question. This is the strategy. I post a question, let's say tomorrow. If you're down with this, to being a part of this and trying to save democracy, take that question. And some people think, oh, he's trying to push his numbers. That's not my goal. If you don't want to put mine out, please don't. Take my words. Ask it yourself. I'd rather you do that, to be honest, because I want you to speak to your audience. Ask those questions of your audience as well. Okay? So, like I posted one today and said, what is a democracy to you? You can share it, like it, do whatever, but you can also ask that question yourself and say, you know what? What is a democracy to you? And you may do it to say, this is what it is to me. You can do that. Whatever you want to do. It's your creativity. Reason why? It needs to get to millions of people. One of the major problems that people like myself who fight for us to have rights and us to have a democracy and us to have, fairness, and specifically for black people, and I've been fighting for it, is that once we get on these apps, our views are like, we start talking about positive things for either black people or for gay people, for whatever. You notice our engagement is null and void. You may have 1 million followers. You ask that question, 600 people will see it. Not the democracy, but ask something that has to deal with black. Why do black people go through this? That video will never be seen. Every one of us has an account somewhere, and our views have gone down because we're talking about democracy. If I start talking about, this Hitler thing and telling the truth about that, trust me, they're going to hinder that. There's no way that you see that video and you don't, it shouldn't be like hundreds of thousands of people have already looked at it. No. Little to nobody has looked at that video because they haven't pushed it out to anybody. So to get around that is that instead of one person asking this question, we need thousands of people. So all of you guys telling your friends, telling 10 friends or family members, there's going to be a question on this guy's page. Literally ask that question on your page so your audience is asking that question and giving answers. You can go live and talk about that question. It's causing a national question and answer. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody needs to be aware that democracy is something we need to save. As these questions come out, it's strategized. Each one of them will be more in depth to help you better understand what a democracy is, and then start to get into questions of like, if democracy was taken away, how would you feel? If this was taken away, do you know that that's a dictatorship instead of democracy? If you looked at this video and you feel a certain way, how do you feel about this video, so to speak? Not necessarily going and trying to give them answers. I get back to my old self. I don't want to give people answers. I want to actually open up questions, right? So as I ask these questions, I need you to promote them. I need you to promote them. Because not mine per se. You can put my face and just share and all that. If you don't feel comfortable, if you're not a person who puts their face on there, I'm more than happy for that to happen. But it'd be better if you and your audience see you asking that question so that you and your audience can have that conversation. And now we're having a global conversation in different sections throughout the United States and the world who may have democracies. We have to subvert this system, which is designed to shut us down if we're talking about doing right by the American people. So this is the way to do it and to get it out there and to have a strategy to get out there to save democracy, this 3D effect. This thing says, why does it work? When people answer on their own, they expose their own contradictions, making them rethink their stance without being or feeling attacked. See, this cognitive dissonance that people have is that two thoughts in their head could be at the same time, negating thoughts be in their head at the same time. They believe both of them at the same time. But when you get them to think on their own, they feel like they came up with the question. They feel like they came up with the answer. It's more likely to stick. And when they start to get into conversations with other people about how democracy works, what it is, what it isn't, now you start to build an audience that's focused on what a democracy is and isn't. People are opening their minds when they once had their minds closed to it. People are being educated about it when they really thought they knew what a democracy was, but really didn't. That's why I say, what does it mean to you? And then we're going to get to the fact of what it actually means. And how far have you moved away from what a democracy really means, as opposed to what you think it means based off your feelings. This is a strategy for us to be able to get everybody speaking about what they love about a democracy. And if it disappeared, how would they feel? This is how we unify people and not get each other at each other's necks. Again, unity is the only way to destroy a dictatorship. Division gives it life. Okay. So the question, everybody got what I'm saying? Everybody understand what I'm saying? You can say it in the comments. Yeah, bot farming. Yeah. I don't see anybody say anything. You guys, anybody else in the room? I don't know if you guys are still here. It's taking forever. You understand, Vera? Okay. Everybody else understanding? Any questions about it? Because I want you to understand how this is going to be effective for us to defeat this dictatorship mentality. Thank you, Mark D. I see you understand it. Um, I'm late, so I don't know the whole question. I rude interplanet Janet. Okay, let me go over and try and do it short. I ain't good at this, but so we were talking about how a dictatorship thrives. It thrives off of division, and what's happened is that Donald Trump has caused a big rift in this country with people being divided on so many things. And I came up with a strategy for us to defeat this dictatorship mindset by actually defining by questions every day. My quick question of the day, I'm using that to allow us to have a global conversation, or at least a national conversation, on what a what a democracy is to you individually as a person. And then by asking these questions, there'll be multiple questions. So every day or every other day, depends on when I can get them out. You check my page, you see the question of the day. You can answer it and respond to it yourself and what you feel. But at the same time, record. If you are on social media, if you don't want to show your face, that's fine. You can just share mine and have your audience. You can copy it. You don't have to even give me credit for it. I don't care about that. You can save it and just post it on your page, or you can just share it onto your page and answer the question yourself. It doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is that people get the question, right? And they start to have that conversation about what the question may be. That question each day is going to progress toward helping people understand what a democracy really is, as opposed to what you think it is, and how these things can, and instead of being aggressive or negative toward people, or abrasive in a way that it turn people off, they're just open-ended questions so that people can have these conversations with themselves, with their families, with their loved ones. If you are on social media, like live streaming, you can go live and have conversations with your followers and things of that nature, dealing with these particular questions that I've posed. So now we have a global conversation with a bunch of different groups having these conversations and determining, a democracy, what it is, and how to keep it. And so as these questions progress, you answer those questions. You either share it with somebody. If you don't have your own platform, you can just share it like we're doing right now. But if you do have your own platform where you go live and do your own content, just take the question, record it yourself, and give it to your people and your audience, and y'all have a conversation of what democracy means to you and different things like that. We're building, because this app, if we start talking about it like I'm the only one talking about it, they'll shut me down because I talk about, everything, I cuss and all stuff like that. They won't put my stuff out there for millions of people to see. I've been doing this for 5-6 years. I've yet to have one video go with 1 million people following me, or not following me, liking me, or even seeing me. And I've had some viral stuff that has taken a year to get 600,000 or whatever. I don't care about that. I'm just saying that I can't get a lot of people to see what we're doing by myself because they shadow ban me. But a way around that is for each of us to have our own conversations. And all I'm doing is guiding the conversation for you guys to say whatever you want to say, but to the question that is being posed. And this is a strategy to defend democracy. Okay? Do you get what I'm saying now? Divide and conquer. Yeah. They divide and conquer us. We have to unite. So the first question which I put out today is, mine was a quick question. Excuse me. Quick question. What is a democracy to you? And you can look at my video What is a democracy to you? Open-ended, and just let people comment. And if you, like I said, if you interact with your people through text, you can text them and say, "Oh, that's what you think of this one? That's fine. I think the same thing." Whatever it may be, your own comments. I ain't divided. I ain't trying to tell you what to do in that situation. It's just learning what people think, open-ended. Because I believe that whether you're MAGA or you're just a regular person, a person with intellect to some degree, some of these things are going to be basic and you're going to feel the same way. But it's going to come to a point where these questions are asked where they're going to see that, wait a minute, I believe in democracy and this is a dictatorship, this thing right here. Why do I believe in that? And they're questioning themselves. It's not us questioning them. They're questioning themselves based on the question. You see what I'm saying? So it's got to be a situation where it's not, abrasive. We're not doing something to get people to change their minds, so to speak. We're getting them to go back to the basics, to answer the question without emotion and feeling. And I'm not here to tell you you're wrong or you're right. I'm here to take you back to what you think a democracy is and how things are now. Are we in a democracy? And you have to arrive with that on your own. And that's what these questions will do. You're welcome, Iona. Thank you, Rude. So it's everybody's going to be able to do it for themselves and or you can use mine. Doesn't matter to me. Right? So that's part one of the strategy. All right. The other aspect to that is it just can't be you. You have to tell your friends and families to post this, to share this, to discuss these questions on the daily, right? So I tell you, you tell 5 to 10 people that you love and care, family, whatever. Have the conversation at a barbecue, at dinner, whatever it may be, because this conversation has got to grow virally. All these things are positive. It's just getting us back to the basics. I think we're so caught up with bills and life and struggle and all that. We have normalized what we think a democracy is. And because life isn't hell just yet, we got some issues. We still think we're just going through these problems under a democracy. We're not. The democracy is dying. And I'm not being hyperbolic. I'm not making this shit up. There's no president in history that said impeach a judge because he doesn't agree with me. There's no Democratic president in American history that has done that. Only dictators do that shit. So when you hear Donald Trump doing it and it's normalized just in the news, like, it should be an alarm. 5 o'clock. It's like a fire. The whole building's on fire. You should not be sitting here sniffing the smoke and saying, somebody must be barbecuing. You should be like, what the fuck? That's the way we should be reacting. But we're not. Because turning a democracy into a dictatorship is a slow, grinding process. It is literally like what the saying of you can put I think it's either a frog or a crab, whatever it is. I think it might be a frog in hot water, it'll jump right out. But if you put it in the water and you slowly warm that shit up, it'll die. That's what you do with a democracy. If it went straight to democracy, people would be like, please, get this man out of our face. He's talking crazy. It's all about gradually, slowly tearing down the tenets. This man is already at telling judges what they should and shouldn't do. That's not the beginning. That's not the beginning, that's not a part of a democracy. It's not even the beginning phase of turning a democracy into a dictatorship. It's near the end, not near the beginning. The very beginning was telling telling everybody that the media is a liar, fake media, enemy of the state. That's the beginning phase. That is the number one thing to do. The very start, if you want to turn a democracy into a dictatorship, you must start telling people that you can't believe in the news in which you receive. I am old enough to remember when people watched the news and they trusted their anchor. Donald Trump has destroyed that. All the while of destroying me and you and others not wanting to hear the news. He's created a bubble of MAGA that sits there and look at Fox and still trust what's on the news. So he has that core group that'll watch news every day. Watch Fox. And Fox is a propaganda, 100% propaganda. If not 100, 98, 97%. They will not show you a lot of the things that Trump does. When they think he's wrong with something, you just won't see it. They'll just talk about the things that they think the red meat of their audience will like. But anything that goes against him, don't want to hear it. And then they make him a victim of everything. Trump was trying this and Americans did this, and Trump was trying this and Dems did this. They get you to hate the other side in the way they write things, the way they construct things. And you got to ask yourself, why would you benefit in destroying this country? Because even if you benefit as an anchor over at Fox, you have to know that other anchors and other people at Fox and your mom and your cousin and your brother and your niece and other family members and all this, they're not going to benefit. Their lives are going to be destroyed. And I'm connected to them, so I'm good. But you know you're in a way where you're going to fuck it up for everybody you love. But I'm close. What kind of mind thinks about just themselves and everybody else be damned? Even mom, cousin, niece, nephew, be damned. I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. It can't be of God. It can't be of a positive energy. It's got to be satanic or demonic. There's no way that you can look at people and think horrible things that you love about and go along with this man who has shown you no loyalty, no kindness. He has did nothing but talk shit about people and destroy people's lives, fire them if they didn't kiss his ass, never pay them when he owes them. And if he did, he paid them a percentage, or he put them in court until they went broke and unalived themselves because they couldn't take care of their families. These are true stories. These are not made up. And these people close to him know he's done these things, but don't care. That is not of what they could. Christianity, that is not God. I don't care what you say. So we have to figure out a way to reach them, and not necessarily the batshit crazy ones. Like I said, the ones that are like, life changed and I want it to be different. I want to get off this Democrat plantation and they haven't done anything. Well, okay, we got things that's going to work. Let's talk about what democracy is. Let's go back to the basics. Okay, that's what we're going to do. Dan Rather and Ted Koppel, yeah. But anyway, so we're also going to do, social media. We're going to somewhat gamify this in a sense on social media, having like a democracy challenge where people post videos answering daily questions and tag their followers to do the same. These are type of examples that we can do. Do your own creative thing with these, ladies and gentlemen. It's about becoming a soldier in saving democracy, right? So whatever comes out of your beautiful, creative brain that you want to do with these questions to form a conversation, a way to be welcoming, not to judge, but be welcoming, so that people can understand what a democracy is and what it isn't, right? Can understand what they want. Like, overall, what do people want, right? These are the questions we're going to end up going down the road to kind of like help. So as I put them out, I'm going to need you to put them out. Either my video or your own, whatever you're comfortable with. I'd rather you do it with your face, my question, your face, because I want people who know and love you to have that conversation with you, right? It's not about me. It's a we thing. It's not a me thing. If you don't feel comfortable with that, I get it. Use me. But if you do feel comfortable, talk about it. And even if you do use me, go live using that question, not me, you with that person. If you go live, if you don't, I'm not trying to force you to do that. Okay. All right. And so that's going to be, I don't want to do a lot. That's going to be the first 2 strategies that we got to do. I post a video, I'm trying to do it every day. Quick question about, it's going to be more than just about democracy, but it's going to help people start from the basics, the democracy part. And then we're going to move up and up and up into all the things that we hold dear, right? And having these conversations on a weekly basis or daily basis, it's up to you. But everybody needs to be having these questions and these conversations that within your circle. So we'll do that. And the other part is to put it out to everybody. Tell your friends to post it. Tell your cousin, niece, and nephew. Go online and post it. Whatever. Social media. Every social media platform you got. So therefore, every section of this country that you may have an audience is asking themselves that question and their family members that question, so that we can be able to have this grow. So that's the strategy. There will be more added on. I don't want to give too much at a time so that we can be able to be effective in this process. My video is up right now with, the question I just asked you guys. What is a democracy to you? And we can move on. And I don't want, to tell people exactly, but when we do these questions, everybody's open-ended and they're going to talk about their own definition of it. But then wherever you decide to do it, I would say probably at the end, like I'm doing here, go to the actual true definition of a democracy and see how far you and your audience were off or how you were dead on. That way you kind of have something like, oh, okay, so what is a true democracy? And at this right here, at its core, a democracy is a system of government where power belongs to the people. It's built on 3 essential principles: the right to vote and choose your leaders. The people elect their representatives in a free and fair election. Number 2, the rule of law and equal rights. Everyone, including leaders, is bound by the same laws and has equal protection under the law. Number 3, checks and balances on power. No one person or party has total control. Power is divided to prevent corruption and abuse. You got the legislative, you got the executive, and you got the judicial branches. Equal under the law, equal power. So there's no corruption. And right now, we don't have that. So if we don't have that right now, is it really a democracy? Those are the types of things. Democracy is not just voting. It's a structure that guarantees accountability, justice, and freedom from tyranny. Right? And as you start to see those things, you'll start to understand that we're kind of off of that. Or maybe some people may not feel like it. Oh, yeah, we still are. And these are where we continue to have more and more questions like, if you still believe we are a democracy, what parts of it do you take part in? Things of that nature, you know what I'm saying? When this country, United States, was founded, the goal was to create a system where no king or dictator could rule with absolute power. Government would be accountable to the people. The Constitution would protect individual rights. Over time, democracy expanded. And we all know what happened. The 14th, 15th, or 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment, for one. The 19th Amendment for the women to be able to vote. Things were added on, giving the right for women to vote, Black Americans, and others who were originally excluded. But at its core, democracy was always meant to be a system where the people hold power, not corporations, not billionaires, and not dictators. When you get to the core of what a democracy is, do you still think we live in one? And if we are, how far are we away from losing it based on the tenets that actually make it up. You see what I mean? By asking these questions first and getting people to ask them, to answer them, and then to go over it at the end. And what I just did right there, we could probably have another conversation like, wow, I didn't know this, or wow, I knew this, or, this part has fallen apart. It builds a conversation. Not judging anybody. It's just telling you what it is. And you can have a free conversation, or you can just leave it and let it sit on somebody's brain. We're not forcing people to think one way or the other. We're just giving them the opportunity to think about it without any pressure added onto it. And hopefully, all Americans, I think, at their core, are going to want a democracy. That's why we got to go back to the basics first, so that we can find out what we have more in common than alike, and getting rid of the division and having some cohesiveness. We may not be kumbaya and skipping around a tree or nothing like that, but we can come back to the basics of, this is democracy. I don't like you, but you have all the rights and I have my rights, and we can move on our way. Or do we have to hate on each other? And I don't want you to have rights because you piss me off. And that's what they want us to be like. And that's what we can't afford to be. So hopefully, still got it. You understand. What's up, Bad Brad? What I just said, and that offers some value to you guys, and that we can start to move in the right direction. So I'm going to check my video in about an hour or two and see how many people either shared it or have created their own. Tag me in it when you do it too, so I can actually watch it and get into the conversation too. Okay? Does everybody understand what I'm talking about? Can we do that? I'm waiting for people to respond, because that way we can kind of keep tabs on how well we're doing in these conversations. I won't be on the lives, but I can comment in the comment section of your video. And that'll give us a better understanding of how or if this is working for us as American citizens. I don't know if it's on like a huge delay, but I'll wait and see. I see Vera say, yes, okay, understand. Okay, so I'm gonna see that later today, and check it tomorrow as well. I may post another question tomorrow or late. I'm trying to give you guys some time. It doesn't matter. You can just pick them up, but I'm gonna try and do one a day for a little bit, and then I'll try 2 a day and things of that nature, so that people can start having their conversations about these particular topics. And if you don't want to go live, have a conversation at dinner. Talk to your friends when you go out to dinner or lunch, whatever. And not in an abusive or angry or judgmental way. It is literally like, what do you think it is to you? Because I don't think too many people have ever had this conversation with any family member or friend of what a democracy is or isn't. We just assume it's intact. But once you start to do your research and talk about it, like I've been doing for the past couple of years, you start to realize this shit is falling apart. And it's not just because, things have like changed, like life has changed so much. It's just people's minds have changed based on their fears. And we have to come together. I'm starting working on something tonight. Thanks for giving me a starting point. I've been planning on building my channel. Awesome, Save Wit. That's awesome to hear. So whatever you got, your channel, let me know. If you're making a video, somehow put my name in it. Not, for me to get credit or anything like that. So therefore I can see it. I can't be going to a bunch of accounts. If it can be able to somehow notify me that it's posted, then I'll go and watch them all, right? And put in a comment or so that, we can have these conversations. And then I'm going to have lives in which I talk about it as well on different platforms of social media, so that we can have these conversations. I think it's needed. And again, it's not about me, it's we. Because if everybody's having these conversations, I'm not benefiting from it. Because if you don't put my name on it, or you just put me in it just to say, hey, here, I did it, and it's your picture and your conversation and your followers, I don't have anything to do with it other than the fact that, you know, it may have been started by me, but it's the work is being done by you. You know what I mean? You and your family and you and your crowd of people. And, you know, what I want to happen is that we have a village of people fighting for democracy. And we may not be out there marching. We may not have any power as far as being a leader and being able to vote on something, but we do have people power. This country was built for the people, by the people. Not corporations, not billionaires, not dictators, the people. And this right here is a way for the people to fight back and not be angry and not be pissed and not have to drop the F-bomb and all that. It's being constructive, it's being positive, and it's being inclusive. And hopefully through that, through these acts of kindness and love for our way of life, we can save it. Because trust me, none of us want to live under a dictatorship. None of us. And a lot of people will defend what is turning into a dictatorship. But once you start to see the tenets of a democracy and what it really stands for, and how each one of them is starting to fall, and some of them have already fell, then you'll start to realize it, I think. The majority of people. I think most of you already know, but people you know. At Save Wit, all right, thank you. No, I'm talking about when you post something, just put at, you know, Mr. Straight Facts, whatever. And you ask what your channel is. Okay, most definitely. That way I'll know when it hits me up. All right, cool. So I'm gonna let you guys get up out of here. I'm thankful that you guys are coming to listen and to be able to be a part of this, because I'm one of those people who provide solutions. I've been that way my entire life. I see a problem, I'll complain, I'll bitch and moan, but I gotta find a solution so I can get it off my heart and into the world to change like forever. I know, again, I'm gonna have people who can't stand me because I'm telling this truth. I'm gonna have people who are gonna try and deny everything I say, fight, and won't go research anything. They're gonna call me everything in the book. I got thick skin. Very thick skin. I was born a black man in a world that hated him just because he was black. And still succeeded. Yeah, you ain't got nothing to say to me that's gonna break me. You're just gonna make me stronger. Trust and believe that. You're very welcome, Vera. You guys have a good evening. I'm gonna need you guys to follow, subscribe, become members, Cash App or whatever, so I can continue doing what I'm doing and be stronger and be able to get certain things done and create a better product for you. I'm glad you guys love what we're doing now, but we got to get stronger and focus on what we're doing. And there's going to be a lot of other, things that are coming down the pike that's going to help, not only the American people, but like I said, I focus on black people from being left behind. So, I do stuff of that nature too. Working on a national lawsuit for us as well. You can sign a petition and all those different things. You got on my different platforms, you can see. And there's so much more. And I appreciate you guys being here and supporting. All right. Thank you, Rude. I appreciate you too. And you guys have a good night. You be safe. Much love. And I'll see you when I see you.